Hello, this is Peter Adams, and I want to talk in this video about a central concept in the Alpen project, and that's an event. Each week we'll have 3 events taking place at various times during the semester. Each of the Alpen members will be responsible for an event. So let's talk about what an event actually is. Um, there's a variety of formats and a variety of topics that would be appropriate for these events. All we ask is that each time you're responsible for one, you try to generate something that will be the focus of an interesting discussion for a week by other members of the Alpen group, and it will ultimately be helpful to faculty members who are struggling with trying to get started with ALP or who are facing some particular problem that your event addresses. The kinds of things that you might want to develop for this event would be a short video about a classroom activity. So you could film yourself doing it, or you could just film yourself discussing the activity, and then some discussion afterwards, either in video or in writing, about how it went or what might have worked better, or request for discussions or suggestions about how to handle a problem that occurred. On each campus, there's a flip video that you can borrow from Marie Robertson or Linda Della Isla or Mary Jo and use for this purpose, or you can use a program called Jing or another one called Camtasia, which we will be demonstrating in the pre-semester session, and we'll also have a little video up on this list of videos on how to use Jing. You might make a video in which you don't try to capture a classroom experience, but rather you just talk in the video, or perhaps with some PowerPoint along with it, about an issue involved in the teaching of basic writing in an accelerated environment. Or you might present a position paper in which you take a position on some issue related to the teaching of basic writing. You might get together with a colleague, and the two of you have an online debate related to teaching basic writing. You could organize an online discussion around a topic, and so that people you announce the topic, you raise some questions, and ask people to post their comments during the week. You could find an article that you think is controversial or provocative or just interesting or even helpful, and post it or link to it on the current event site, and then provide some introduction, some analysis, some response of your own to the article. You could present a student case study. You might do that by video, but more likely you'll present it just either in writing or in your talking to the video and describing something that happened with a particular student and the issues that case raises and how you might solve them. And then, of course, anything else that you can come up with that will provide a fruitful discussion about teaching ALP. There are a variety of formats. I've already sort of suggested these in the previous slide, but there's a video or an essay you could post. There's a PowerPoint with narration or with written discussion following the PowerPoint. You could post an essay. You could have a written or a video debate between you and a colleague. You could have a written description of a classroom activity. You could provide a writing assignment and post that and then discuss why it worked or request feedback on how it might be improved. Finally, during the week in which you're the moderator, we want you to think of yourself as in charge of your event, and we want you to do whatever you can to make it a success. That means checking in from time to time, see how the discussion is going, asking questions, answering questions, clarifying things that people seem to have misunderstood, encouraging interaction, asking one participant what they think of somebody else's comment, even emailing people and asking them to join the discussion if they haven't been. And finally, at the end of the week, we'd like you to write up a brief summary of the week's event. Now, what I've just gone over are just guidelines for these weekly events, but please don't view them as restrictions. We hope as time goes by, the members of the Alpen group will come up with much more creative ideas about what makes a good event. The goal is just to provide an exciting, interesting place for conversation about teaching in an ALP classroom.